Well, here we are in May. What a wonderful month it is. And the flowering has been fantastic. Wisteria is in the distance. And the absolutely astonishing new growth on Rodendron nuttali. Who needs flowers with nude leaves so colourful? It's normally grown in a cold greenhouse, but sheltered here by the wall, it seems to be okay, has been for some years now. Next door to it, opening up and really getting its scent going, is Rodendran Dalhuzi, or Dalhousie, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it. These are lovely, lovely scented trumpets. Talking of the wisteria flowering, how about this for a feast of flowers? This is rather aptly called Wisteria prolific, and it certainly is. My goodness me. And what's more, a wonderful scent coming off it. Look at that. It's astonishing. In this group of rhododendrons, the standout ones, of course, the loderi, King George over there. But now in May, I think this one takes over. It's a Magnolia Hybrid called Percy Wiseman. I think this is just drop dead gorgeous. Hiding slightly is this Magnolia Hybrid made by a horticulturalist I know. He crossed two magnolias, one called budlia, which is a large shrub, and obovata, which is a big tall tree from Japan with highly scented flowers. Anyway, this cross has proved, I think, very beautiful. It's got this sort of bubblegummy scent. Seem to have another bud there, and we've got an opening flower here. It was planted in 2011. And it seems to be more tree-like than shrub-like. It's gone up to about 3 meters now in 14 years. Here's a lovely, fairly early flowering, suckering rose. As you can see, there's a couple of suckers in the path. But as long as they don't get in the way completely, I'm not going to be too fussed about that. This is the Scotch Burnet rose, and this is its double yellow form. Rosa spinosissima. A lovely rose, sort of delicate and with a lovely tea rose scent. Gorgeous. Now here's a rhododendron to get excited about, it seems. This is Rodendron ellipticum. And look at those wonderful new growth on it. Regrettably clashing with the pink flowers. Still, it is lovely, no doubt. Here's a wisteria with a difference. This is the Japanese wisteria, and they have very long racemes of flowers, very long, just as scented. This started life as a standard with a stake, but the stake's gone, and the trunk has sort of slightly horizontalized itself, not quite, but it's at a slant. But nevertheless, it's near the edge of a small stone retaining wall, and so these racemes are able to dangle freely, and the scent is just wonderful. This is a wisteria called Isai. What a scent. Now here's a sucker from a sassifras albidum. This is the American sassifras. What I found was rather interesting, that when it first comes out, the leaves are entire, as you can see. And then when it starts producing its leaves proper, they have the characteristic trident sort of shape, characteristic of sassafrases in general. This one is normally quite difficult to keep going, but it has suckered, and in fact there's another little sucker down there coming up. So I've had this for several years now. Probably misses the very hot and humid summers in Virginia, in its native land, but anyway, it's putting up with it here. Now, coming down the path here, I'll show you the other sassafras I've got. This is from China. Again, it has these characteristic trident leaves. Let's get past the Scotch Burnet rose a minute. Rather larger in its parts than the North American sassafras. But this is, it does produce its tridenty leaves, which is the giveaway. This from China is sassafras tsumu, large leaves. Has little white flowers in March time, which are not really significant. It's really the foliage. And the new growth is quite spectacular as well. But of course, it's right up there. You can't actually see it very easily, except from a distance. Now, let me show you this rather strange tree with its rather strange new leaves. Well, here we are. As you see, it looks half dead, doesn't it? Whether it's attractive or not, I don't know. It's when it's very new, it has much more of a chamois leather look to it. And in fact, over the whole tree, it is quite, stands out quite well. And here is the tree itself. And as you can see, very happy. Been here for about 30 years now, I would say, at least. Just coming around the corner, there's this very tall now, magnolia, which I planted about 35 years ago. And there's, luckily, at more eye level are some of the flowers. They don't last all that long. Unfortunately, they will, after a day or two, go brown. Not very attractive, I hear you say. But this has a sort of historic significance, this one. I mean, I don't think it's particularly ornamental. Magnolia, it's late flowering, but it is the first hybrid magnolia. It's a Swiss, really, because it's okay, the first hybrid magnolia, but it was a sort of by chance that in a batch of seedlings of Mr. Thompson in his nursery in the Myland Road discovered a one which was sort of bigger in all its parts from the Magnolia virginiana seedlings that he had there, and he brought it on and marketed it as Magnolia Thompsoniana after himself, the first hybrid magnolia. We find the suckering Scotch Burnet rose in its double pink form with the same lovely tea rose scent. This has been named Falkland. Percy lazing on the steps of the small temple. Yeah, we're talking about you. I'm just going to take you just a bit along the long border. To this rather early flowering budlia, which has been out for a few weeks now. This one comes from South Africa and is budlia salvifolia, so called because the leaves look a bit like sage. In South Africa, we were standing on a deck on the first floor balcony of where we were staying, and I saw this at eye level, so it was growing at about 20 to 30 feet up. I chop it here because otherwise it might get too big, especially too wide. I don't know whether you think these peonies are a little over the top, and if you do, I am inclined to agree with you. The size of the flower is something else. This particular one is an intersectional peony, an ito peony, which is a hybrid between a tree peony and a herbaceous peony, and they tend to be very robust. And here's one with a newer colour scheme, a more sort of apricot-y pink. And another one, gosh and golly. I'm going to have to space them out a bit more.